Government has again made an impassioned plea to investors that South Africa is open and ready for investments. Resources Minister Ngoako Ramatlhodi addressed the Investing African Mining Indaba in Cape Town today. He reaffirmed government's commitment to providing a stable investment and labour environment. We now cross live to our reporter Nompumelelo Siziba, who's been covering the conference. A very good evening to you, Nompu. What are some of the key issues that the minister has been honing in on?
Thanks, Vibhakshini. Well, as you said, the minister said that South Africa is open for business, it's ready for investment. He immediately dealt with the challenges that are very obvious to anyone that can see. The issue of electricity, as well as the fact that we have a significant mining legislation that is still outstanding that needs to be attended to by Parliament. He said that those matters were trying to be dealt with in an expeditious manner. But of course, the electricity issue is not something that can be solved overnight, but he did address those issues. He also spoke about BEE, saying it was no longer something that was for individuals. He's more about the broad-based type of economic empowerment, and he even talked about government looking to create some sort of community-based entity that would one day rival the likes of Anglo-American in terms of being able to buy up assets which are run primarily for the benefit of communities in the mining sector, so that they're able to gain expertise, a livelihood, and so on and so forth. There wasn't much detail as to what that would entail, but that's a big plan there in terms of broader empowerment for the black community. And the other issue that he also discussed was he just basically was telling the investor community that we're ready for business and that they shouldn't be worried about some of the challenges because government is actively handling the situation.
Nompu, what have mining companies been saying about the impact of load shedding on production?
Yes, it's a really it's something that's really hurting the mining sector. Whenever there is load shedding, Eskom tends to go to what are described as the energy intensive users. So that would be your mining houses, for example. And they have to cut electricity, sometimes by 10%, sometimes by 20%. And obviously, given that they do contribute quite a vast amount to GDP, that's really negative for growth. So, 1 minute they're up, 1 minute they're down. And it's not great for their production targets. Even when you look at small businesses, this kind of thing is actually leading to job losses. So it's very, very negative, not just for mining houses, but for the economy across the board.
Now, some controversial reaction on social media to former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair's keynote address at the Indaba. What did he have to say?
Yes, there was some controversy. I'll start with the conditions in which he was speaking. Basically, he was speaking in the main hall auditorium, and there normally when speeches take place, the media has easy access, they can capture what's happening. But there were strict instructions to the media that they couldn't record Mr. Blair's speech. We would only be able to get a 3-minute roll of his speech a bit later on. So, the journalist fraternity were thinking, why on earth is that the case? It might have something to do with the fact that he's the former Prime Minister. But what he did say was he felt it was important that African governments and business that looks to invest in the mining sector in African countries actually work together as partners. One of the things he cited was the lack of infrastructure in Africa, which is well documented. The continent needs billions and billions of dollars to get their infrastructure up and running so that the environment is conducive to investment in mining and other sectors. So he was saying that the private sector also has to help African governments in investment in those type of areas and that they must work together in partnership.
Nompumelelo Siziba coming to us live from Cape Town, wrapping up the day at the Mining Indaba.